Hey, I'm Jeff, and I make music with my brother.
Hi, I'm Jonathan, and I also make music with my brother.
Together, we are Ekko and Sidetrack, and we make music that sounds like this.
And this.
And even this. This podcast is about music, creativity, and everything in between.
Welcome to A Band Apart with Ekko and Sidetrack. Today's podcast is brought to you by our friends at Short Order Burger. When I want a burger, I want it quickly. I don't want to be the guy standing in line getting hangry with a bunch of other hangry people. So I'm going to download the new Short Order ordering app and use it to order and skip the line when I pick up my order today. It's straightforward to use, and by becoming a member, you can actually earn points for every purchase. For every $1 you spend, you'll earn 10 points, which can be used for special offers or in-app credit. And if you're getting weekly burgers, my friends, that could be quite a lucrative amount of points. Go download it in the App Store today and take advantage of it. And as always, don't forget to say the code word Ekko and Sidetrack at checkout in store for 10% off your order. Big up.
Hey.
Cheers.
Cheers. Welcome.
I was thinking, 20 years ago, if you saw someone constructing the podcast setup in a park, you might well assume that they were creating a bomb.
Oh, absolutely. Especially in the era of Die Hard with a Vengeance, and we're sitting here tangling cords and moving things around, and we've both got backpacks. We look like we are constructing something to blow up the system.
But it's quite humorous because it's the Gen Y or Gen X or fucking millennial is the most millennial thing to do. It's like, no, we're recording a podcast.
I'm going to not eat any pretzels on the podcast.
You said this is the last pretzel right before we started recording.
It's such good, delicious, salty snacks.
Jeff, it's Thursday.
It is.
We leave London in less than 24 hours. We're leaving tomorrow.
We are.
It's been an emotional ride. Before we continue, though, we should also say big thank you to everyone that listened to last week's episode with young Sebastian. I think it was our best performing episode thus far.
It was.
And we've gotten lots of great feedback from it.
And Seb was a great guest as well. Shout out to Seb.
Oh, yeah, it helps when the guests are strong.
He had great, he's a great conversationalist himself.
He is.
And none of that was prepared or anything, and it probably felt a little bit more like an interview than some of our other.
I don't think so. You said that at the end of the podcast, and I completely disagree. I reckon it was
maybe
us.
Maybe it's just because I gotta stop reaching for the pretzels.
I'm taking them away from you.
Maybe it's just because I had a few questions and that they just were structured a little bit interviewy, but. Maybe it's just me, but I loved the conversation. We always have great conversations. We had breakfast with Seb this morning, and it was,
just as enlightening.
It was. It really was.
I thought it was cool. We went to a festival,
Electric City.
We went to Electric City on Sunday to go watch
all manner of people.
Yeah, Nick and Rob play and Wilco, and
we saw Theo.
Big up Theo. And when we walked in, we saw Mark Serum.
Yep.
And we've spoken to him online, and I think I met him once when I played in Paris. And he saw us and was like, one of the first things he said was like, guys, I listened to the podcast. It's fucking great. The episode with Seb. And I was like, man, I did not expect that. That's really cool that he listened, and we've had great feedback. So if there's any new listeners, welcome.
And sometimes there's guests, and sometimes it's just us sitting in a park. Or not in a park, we're just sitting in the studio.
But today, we're in a park. It's wet. We're sitting on a jacket.
I'm not sitting on a jacket, my ass is getting wet.
But it's our last day.
And I think the weather is kind of bookending the trip quite well for us, because it has been sunny and hot here in London, and it's been beautiful, and now it's starting to cool down. Though the sun is coming out, so it's ruining the moment. But for me, as I looked out, as I came home last night, I just thought, I'm ready to go home.
Yeah. I think I always get to that point, no matter how much fun I have on a trip. There's always, it feels like within like 2 days of leaving, it's almost like, well, I can't really do much else. I'm ready to go.
A level of acceptance.
I kind of just want to get on the plane.
Yeah, but there are times when I feel that a trip is like ripped away from me, or like, oh, I had so much left to do, or oh, I wish I had done that. I feel I have had a bountiful 3 months.
I completely agree. Oh, look at that squirrel behind you. Not to get distracted. Sorry.
I love the way squirrels move.
Yeah, they bound. Look at them bound.
They walk and then they bound, and their tail just follows them in a very, very hypnotic way.
That's almost like its own animal. I would agree. I think we've done it all this trip.
We've had it all.
We've had it all. We've done it all. We've released music. Well, we're about to release music.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a second.
We've worked on tunes. We've seen people. We've attended weddings. We've gone on holiday. I've essentially started a relationship. We've met new people, worked on collabs.
Made new friends. Have we made any enemies?
I don't know if I've got many enemies. Maybe one or two.
But do you think you've made any new ones?
No.
I've changed my opinion of people.
Oh yeah, my opinion on people's changed. I definitely wouldn't.
Enemy. It's not an enemy status. I was trying to think if we've had any weird run-ins and been like, I don't think that guy likes me, or I don't think that person likes me.
To be honest, I don't think we've like interacted with that many new
people that might not like
people
us.
that might not like us. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point.
In fact, I think there's potentially we've gotten to know people that might not have not liked us as much before, but just to kind of not known us. I think we've interacted with those people more and actually made friends with them.
Solidifying relationships.
I think we've solidified more relationships.
Ekko and Sidetrack, solidifying relationships. If you'd like to solidify your relationship, get in touch.
Are you disappointed with anyone?
Just a broad statement.
This is a setup. I'm disappointed in James Culture Shock.
Whoa. A public call.
He's not going to fucking listen to this anyway. But
he might just listen to this bit. But what? I did nothing. He's had some chances.
To attend some things. He's nearly cut out of the brothers' chat. That's for sure.
You're still a brother to me, James.
But no, like I'm really happy with how everything's gone.
In all seriousness, James is a busy person that does some wild shit.
Yeah.
So to see him as much as we did, is a goddamn dream. And I think that's often the way it is, because you underestimate, or at least I underestimate, how much people have going on, especially during summer. Well, the music industry.
Yeah, you remember. You also remember that, like, everyone's essentially working while we're semi-working, but not in our usual state. It's like when someone comes to Perth and we're like, well, we can't really do that because we're in the studio, or we can't do that because we're working, or we can't do that because we've got this on. Like, people have their own lives.
If that squirrel comes much closer, man, you might have to protect the pretzels.
I'd love to see him take the pretzels. I just wish this was a bloody video podcast. But no, James, you are still a brother to me. I think I need to do, like I often do on planes, leaving somewhere. I'll do some writing tomorrow.
I think that's important. Yeah, I'm going to do some reflection. And we need to have our conversation about, like, Jeff and I like to, at the end of a project or a big moment in our lives, if you will. An era,
a tour, a song, whatever, we like to do a little bit of reflection, whether that's both personal reflection and then have a conversation about it, or whether it's just some dot points. What did we learn? What could we learn? What were our expectations?
Where are we going?
And we're trying to, I guess, be more aware of that. that stuff. So we can have a
grime on your
conversation potentially on the plane tomorrow.
Yeah, and I think it's our mate Byron. Shout out to Byron.
Hey, Byron.
He pointed out that an important thing to do is have that conversation while you're still on the trip,
Yeah.
because when you get home, all of a sudden it gets delayed 3 or 4 days, and all of a sudden you've lost some of the juice that you had while you were away in the place.
Yeah.
So I think, getting that locked inness of sitting next to each other. Though at the moment when we have checked in, we aren't sitting next to each other, but we will remedy that tomorrow or do some negotiation on board. So we are sitting next to each other. I think my brain is
Broken?
I don't know, it's just tired. But the reflection is extremely important, so that you can not only feel like you've done a lot, because when you come home you're like, what do I even do? Where have I been for 3 months? But also really set up the foundation of how we're going to work into this album and all the new music we're going to finish in the coming months.
And keep the momentum going.
Yeah.
And instead of just being like, what's the next thing? And blindly, again, not being in the moment, holding yourself and reminding yourself that we did have this wild time.
And the cool thing as well, you can't go backwards. I feel like we've climbed through a hole and we're on a new level now.
Yeah,
we can't go back down to the last level.
I've definitely climbed through a hole.
Wow. I feel like you might be stretching the analogy into another area.
Into another hole. I've stretched one hole into two.
See, I'm being very Mario Brothers, and I feel like you're being very Pornhub, and it's...
No, that's not my intention at all. Well, let's move on. Yeah, reflection.
But essentially, it's a whole new world.
Reflection is super important, and every time I go away for a long period, for a long trip, I always have this idea in my head that I'm going to keep up with journaling, and I'm going to record every day so I can go through, and it's like 3 months of detailed what I did, when I did it, and then my thoughts. And I didn't. I have journaled this trip when I've been really happy, really angry, or really sad. And I use really as in just, happy, angry, or sad.
Mm.
So I've kind of got like 5 pages of journaling. Snapshots of moments, which I'm going to go through and probably expand on and figure out not necessarily why, but what's the takeaway from that. Okay, cool. I had an argument with Jeff on this day. I remember what it was about. Why was I so angry? I felt like Jeff wasn't listening to me. Okay, so the takeaway is...
Yeah.
Whatever. Something like to learn from, so I can... Because this trip for me, I think, has been a very massive learning curve. Not only about myself, but also just relationships and being with a partner and how I respond to those situations and that type of thing. It's been a very intense 3 months.
It has. How do you think you deal with expectations now?
I definitely need to focus on I think you just need to talk about expectations more. And make sure you protect your expectations. I think I have people pleaser tendencies.
People pleaser.
And that's what I said?
People pleaser.
People pleaser. I'm a people weasel.
I'm a peeper.
I'm a peeper weasel. But I also don't think can necessarily be the excuse all the time.
That's also just pointing out something. It's not there's
That's not the be all and end all of
solving a problem.
no. But I think I've had a few situations where my expectations and other people's expectations haven't necessarily aligned or haven't been communicated well.
And I find that
And I think-
that's one of the biggest things about being unaligned is when reality does not meet your expectations.
Yeah. And I think the main thing that has been strange this trip for me has been that I haven't been with you so much.
Yeah, we've only shared a bed twice.
Yeah. And
Twice?
most of the time I've been with my partner, and so I'm kind of learning another person's
Rhythms.
rhythms.
Rather than my rhythm.
Well, I think
Which is drum and bass, baby.
when you and I are together, it's like there's so many things assumed.
Yeah, and it's also pretty jokey and it's pretty social and we both go with the flow. Whereas when it's when you're fitting into someone else's life.
When you've got when you're really in a relationship. And
Just for anyone
sorry,
listening,
I'm just squatting down.
Jonathan's now moving around because where he was sitting was no longer serving him.
I think when I kind
Now
of
you-
look like I'm rapping
Yeah.
or telling a story, and I am telling a story. No, like you're learning the rhythms of another person, and for the 14 years we've been traveling to London. This is the first trip that we've ever traveled with partners.
Yeah.
So that's like 7 times coming here, and it's been like the Jono and Jeff show. And then suddenly we come over, and oh my God, the squirrel is fucking close, Jeff.
Where is he?
He's just there behind you.
Oh. Hello, my friend.
He can smell the pretzels.
They're mine.
But yeah, this trip, James's partner, Jeff's partner Holly, hey Holly, came with us, and I was meeting my partner James, hey James, over here, and so suddenly there's that dynamic as well, and we have another person to think about and your partner to think about and how.
But
life fits in there.
I've never achieved more in a time in
I agree.
Europe.
Which is I think that's a testament to our age though. And I think we said the other day that we've probably spent less time partying and more time working on this trip.
Yeah, but also I think it's where our careers are and as well being influenced by a partner. Like I probably, if I didn't have a partner over here, I wouldn't have gone to Greece. I probably wouldn't have prioritized going to San Sebastian. I would have done more things in London, maybe like gone on a trip with one of the guys. I might have gone to a festival or something.
I think
but
if we didn't have partners as well, you've got to take into account that idea that you're also being single and like, I guess, more aware of potential romantic entanglements. And when you are partnered up, that's not really in your mind at all.
Yeah.
So you're suddenly like, oh, I'm happy to go home early from the club, or like,
or even you've got more bandwidth for everything else because you're not trying to chase that anything.
Yeah.
Another connection. Yeah, we've kind of like done things in a bit more of a mature way. I've never drunk so many zeros as since I've been here, and I think that's going to something I'm going to really, really integrate to all of my drinking experiences back home, to be able to attend things and really ride that line of being like drunk and not drunk. And not getting out of control, but like I've definitely enjoyed a few drinks. There has been times in the past maybe where I've gone a little bit overboard, or you just like, you're on holiday, so you're just a bit more wild and free. Yeah. But I've really enjoyed the, waking up and getting on with my day. There was one particular day after Freddie's show, I got home at 5:00 in the morning. I woke up the next day and I went to the studio and we worked for like 9 hours.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's a professional.
That actually was a really good day in the studio as well.
And that's sometimes just what you've got to do. And, whether that's holiday energy or just the energy that we bring to the table, I think it's a nice thing to have cultivated.
No, well, I think that's mature. I think that's age. That's also prioritizing some work and going, okay, maybe 2 years ago we would have gone to an after party and stayed there and got fucked up. Whereas now we know we had a deadline. That was the only day we had to work on it. We had a studio. That was the priority.
Yeah.
Before, I think that's a massive switch as well. Like before, potentially the priority was to have fun or at least party rather than
have fun, because it doesn't. Otherwise, you're kind of making it out like we're some sort of party animals. I don't think so. I think we are just people that prioritize fun, and I think we're working out a significantly better balance.
Well, I think
now he's stretching.
I think we knew that the studio was going to be fun. So it's not suddenly like, oh, I've got to go to the studio to finish off this. It's like, oh, we get to work in a fucking actual studio and listen to the song that's really close. It just needs little mix down touches.
And it was a song that we had started while we've been away. And this is the first time we've taken really fully equipped laptops. Like my laptop is basically something I use to sketch ideas and then take it onto the studio computer. I only get it to like the 10th percent.
Yeah.
And then we take it onto the studio computer. But this is a thing that you started on your computer. I kept running on my computer, and then we finished with the help of Rob's studio. Shout out to Rob.
Yeah.
Mentioned.
Big up Robbie. I never called him Robbie. Sorry.
Robbie, wow. Would you
Robbie Williams is on my mind.
He's on everyone's mind. But essentially, it proved to me that working in the moment and working on a laptop can be really inspiring in its own kinds of ways.
Well, yeah, I think
it's a really great thing that we prove to ourselves that we can do that. And I kind of like working on my laptop.
I do.
I started a bunch of tunes on this thing.
I do too. I think I just would like to figure out why my laptop fucking struggles so much occasionally. And even when I bounce things and export them as audio and turn off plugins and don't have a super CPU heavy project, but that's just my laptop and that's part of it. I have enjoyed being a bit freer, and I think like really the key to all that was loading up mirroring. Am I saying that word correctly?
Mirroring.
Mirroring.
The Lord of Mirroring.
Mirroring our studio computer with our laptops, because before, like you said, like we didn't have as many plugins on both.
You could only do so much on your laptop.
So it would often be annoying to be like, you'd be like, well, I'm not going to take this sound to this point because I know we'll do it with another plugin on our actual studio computer. But these projects are now to a point that we can just go collect all and save and take them back to the studio computer, and there will be no missing parts, and it'll be like, cool, we can just continue it.
Yeah.
Which is so helpful. It's like we haven't taken it away and tried to build something else. We can build on top of what we've already done.
Yeah. And the song that we did start while we were away is our remix of Runaway by Reaper, who is an American artist, American drum and bass artist that's really blowing up in the scene. And it had to come together really quickly, as remixes sometimes do. They're on tight deadlines. So often the first or second idea has to work.
Yeah.
So you have to get in and fail fast or decline the remix in some cases. But we were pretty happy with what we got. And you want to talk a bit through the process, Jonathan?
Yeah. I think we're very happy with what we did. I think it was, like you said, I think it's really important to fail fast with remixes. And as soon as you hear the original, you kind of want to know exactly what you want to do with it. So you either want to flip it on its head, or if it's not a drum and bass song, you want to drum and bassize it, pretty simply, or there's always something that you attach yourself to. And I think with the Reaper tune, instantly when we heard it, we were like, this is a fucking heavy song.
Yeah.
And there's no way you're going to out-heavy the heaviness.
Yep.
So let's flip it and do a much lighter, kind of liquidy version of it, but a clubby version.
Yeah.
Because, you know, we make all kinds of drum and bass. Well, kind of 3 kinds of drum and bass.
3 or 4.
And we've definitely been enjoying some of the, I wouldn't say lighter stuff, but using lighter drums.
We're exploring different sounds.
Yeah, especially for the album. And we kind of had a song, an original that we liked the drums on, and then we heard the lead in the Reaper song that doesn't really get utilized as much as we think it should.
The lead becomes the bass line.
Yeah. And so we're like, let's keep it a lead. And then it's kind of lent itself to, you know, I think it was like 2 days on my computer. And I sent it to you and you're like, yep, that's the idea. And that was just it.
Yep.
And it came together very easily, simply. And like we said, that's what happens with the, not necessarily the best remixes, but the remixes that just tend to work for us come together quickly.
Yeah, because during this time and since birth, we have been trying to write another remix, and that one hasn't come together, and we've since had to decline it. And we had a really long deadline for that. And just unfortunately, we didn't get anything together that kind of served the song. Sometimes that's hard.
Which is annoying because it was a good song as well.
Exactly.
But I think, like, again, some things you get and some things you don't. And initially you think you've got it, and then it doesn't click, and then you try work really hard. But as a general rule of thumb, if you don't have a good idea for a remix within the first day or 2, then it's probably not the right remix, and you can decline it. But we're really happy with this one, how it turned out. And it's out tomorrow.
It is.
Or today, depending when this podcast comes out. It's out on Friday, the 26th of August, and it is Runaway by Reaper, the Ekko and Sidetrack remix. And now we're going to listen to it right now.
We're definitely
just kidding, because there's going to be copyright issues with that.
But yeah, go and check it out and tell us what you think. Just up on our Insta and tell us what you think. And if you're in Australia, I think you're going to get the chance to see Reaper live pretty soon.
Next Saturday. And there may or may not be a podcast with him at a later date. Who knows?
Whoa, Jonathan.
Is that a good idea?
Tell us.
Text 1-800, is this a good idea? And find out then.
You just get an instant text back like, yes, it is. Maybe.
Maybe it's a good idea.
Back to London a little bit, Jonathan. Is there anything that you wish you could take from London and take with you to Perth?
Yeah, maybe like 15 to 20 people.
People? You'd bring people? You'd bring the inspiring people from here to there?
Like, you know, we've had enough of a time here that you cultivate a life. And I had already cultivated somewhat of a life here before when I was over. So there's people that I've fallen in love with, re-fallen in love with, that I would like to take back home with me in my suitcase. And that's partners, that's friends, that's everything. And I would love to be able to talk to those people, or go out for breakfast with those people, or podcast with those people, or work in the studio with those people, or go out for dinner or drink wine with those people and laugh with those people on a daily basis. But I don't, and I can't. And that kind of makes me sad. It makes me sad that I won't be able to do that next week. But that's okay, because I've got other people back in Perth that serve and fill in for those people. Fill in's a bad word, but they fill my soul, I guess, equally. But that's what I miss that's the thing I miss when I leave London. It's the getting on the overground and being able to see Jim and Shawnee in 40 minutes. It's meeting Hamish at the pub after work on a Friday. It's those things that I miss.
Yeah, I second that. The thing that I would take is I think it's quite similar to you, actually. I thought of, rather than taking the people, is they might feel quite ripped from their
Oh, yeah, it's such a selfish move. I mean, that's taking people away from their
loved ones and houses
and jobs and careers just to sit in my room to
But I think what
serve me.
What your meaning is like bringing the juice back that you get from these people.
Yeah.
And like the inspiration and how it feels to have a conversation with someone like Nick or something that you don't have a conversation with very often.
Yeah.
And then you leave that with this kind of inspiring sense. And we just hung out with Dan Brooks,
From the Brooks Brothers,
who has been laying pretty low recently from a music perspective.
But just working on lots of stuff.
But just hanging out with Dan is kind of its own sort of inspiring as well.
And I think really it boils down to maybe there's not that many people back in Perth that inspire me.
Shout out to Perth.
But it's not the same. Like
it's a completely different kettle of fish.
Hanging out
or house of people.
Hanging out at Electric Sun Festival the other day. We went out for fucking lunch with.
We all
Nick
had the mackerel
and Seb and had smoked mackerel, which is essential to learning. But like
omega-3
and hanging out with like Justin and Jack and like you're having these extremely interesting and introspective conversations that I don't think
we're as exposed to as often.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I go away from conversations. That's why I love sharing the studio space with Carl. Because you can have a coffee and you go down to the studio and you talk about shit for 15 minutes and you go back into the studio and you're like, cool, I want to work on music. I'm going to try this thing.
You get the juice.
You get the juice.
Yeah.
But there's not enough juice. There's friendship juice. Got a load of friendship juice. I'm drenched in friendship juice.
Yeah.
Every day. But I don't know about inspirational juice. And I think that comes in truckloads here.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think it personally makes me feel like I'm more part of the music industry. I'm more part of this beast or this evolving thing. I am a creative. I am all these things. But then going back home, you can feel a little more isolated and out of it.
Totally.
And I think really it inspires me, hopefully. The ideas I have are like, cool, I need to find more of those people in Perth. I need to spend more time with Justin. Or I need to, we do like a monthly producer catch up with the guys from Lab 6 or Slumberjack or anyone who we do have inspiring conversations with, but very, 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 very rarely.
Yeah. Because there's an element of being home that you feel like I've just got to do what I do here, and you fall into the same runnels that you've formed over the
runnels a great word
years of being here. So you just do as you do, and holidays and trips abroad really make you carve new runnels.
Yeah, I'd like to carve. I think I'm carving new runnels constantly. I think I've lost a couple of runnels, but I think they're easily get backable.
What's something you're most looking forward to about returning home? We've just slagged it off for 5 minutes.
I don't think it's a slag off.
No, it's how we feel. It's the juice, man. It's the juice, man.
It's the juice, man.
That's the juice.
I'm looking forward to routine. I think I've gone on about this a lot in the podcast, but I'm really looking forward to being like...
Sum it up, bro.
I'm really looking forward...
Not for the battery. I mean, like just like if you've talked about it a lot, then like what have you learned?
Waking up, going to the studio, going to the gym, coming home, doing what I want. But the gym studio combination, going to play shows, and then coming back to the studio and learning what we've learnt from the shows, testing music, just getting into that routine. Like as I said before, routine on this trip has been about balancing my routine with my partner's, but mostly like my routine, what it looks like when I'm on holiday. I wanted, that your routine does go out the window.
A holiday routine is its own thing, and like
Yeah.
one of the biggest things anyone struggles with is keeping that discipline while you're on holiday.
And I wanted to not keep that discipline. Especially when you're with a new partner, you don't want to keep fucking waking up at 7 o'clock and going to the gym. You want a slow morning. You want to have too many drinks the night before.
But routine is also something that grounds you.
Yes. So I think like I'm looking forward to simplifying, I think, my life, and arguably doing less social things. I think my social battery is pretty.
I need juice. I don't want to see people.
No, because
Sorry.
there's a difference between juice and social things.
Yes.
Juice is work related. Social things are. I've got social juice back home is fine.
You're drenched in it.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly.
I use that terminology, yes. But I'm looking forward to getting to work and spending 3 days in a row in the studio and
Getting down to business.
just getting down to business and not having so much to do. My life back home, especially with a partner in the UK, is pretty fucking simple.
Your life back home is simple compared to having
here.
Yeah. Okay.
And I look forward to that.
Yeah.
And just like the simplicity. And complicated isn't necessarily bad, but it's more draining on me.
For sure. Again, I'm going to echo what you say and maybe flip it on its head.
Oh, you're really sidetracking it.
Shout out to Ekko and Sidetrack.
Hey, Ekko and Sidetrack.
If I'm looking forward to getting home to my partner,
Holly.
Yeah, and finding the routine though of being back with her and also getting back to work and also being like, all of the juice that I've tried to store up. I'm now gonna. Wow, this sounds graphic.
Cover Holly. Trench Holly.
Is that friendship juice?
This is love juice, baby.
No.
Sorry, Holly. That's vulgar. I'm a fucking pervert. I'm sorry. I'm a degenerate.
Not at all. You're a great guy. No, all the juice that I have stored up from being inspired and being creative, I'm looking forward to using that in the studio and getting down to business. And I'm also then looking forward to being where
throwing ropes of creativity all over the studio keyboard.
Mostly I'm looking forward to returning back to the routine and being back with my one and also being inspired, bringing some of that inspiration home to share with her. Because it's not just musical inspiration that I get from this place or even a trip.
Yeah.
Because it's not just London that inspires me. It's everywhere we've been. It's Holland. It's, all over. And bringing some of that kind of energy back so that we can vibe on that in Perth. Because that's the most exciting reason to travel, to come back and know your home as a bit of a new place.
And view it differently.
Yeah.
I think the thing that I always take away from holidays and always want to bring back with me is
cocaine. Remember we got swabbed?
Oh yeah, we did get swabbed.
Yeah. It was quite an arduous and choreful end to the trip.
Being on holidays, so it feels like it goes slower and is exciting, etc. All those things, because you're waking up every day and potentially going down a street that you've never seen before. And when you're at home, you go down the same streets, you drive the same way, you go to the same cafes, you go to the same bars, or you go to the same restaurants and you see the same people, and then suddenly your weeks and months blend into each other into just one section. But when you're on holiday, everything is new, potentially. Or everything's you're doing for the second time or third time or fourth time.
It's fresh.
Everything's fresh. So I want to try to bring that back home. And I always try to when I come home, whether that's like, I'm going to do something different this morning. I'm going to walk the dog in this direction, or I'm going to go for a swim, or I'm going to go to this cafe, or I'm going to put a little bit more effort into finding something new about Perth that I can really fall in love with. And that then makes you feel like you're not just going back home to boredom or to complacency or to the same old thing. Because that's the biggest difference between a holiday and where you live. You know where you live so well, but a holiday is like a maze you've never been in before. But a home is the maze that you've finished 1,000 times.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to going back and discovering new parts of the maze, because I think there's new parts of the maze.
There's new parts of my maze that I want to be discovered. That's stretching a euphemism that doesn't really make sense.
As John Mayer said, my body is a wonderland. And maybe he meant his body was a maze.
All right.
The battery's running low.
Battery's running low. Time is running out.
We've got planes to catch.
4:30 on a Thursday afternoon. We're sitting in a park in
London Bridge.
London Bridge.
The same park we recorded the podcast before the podcast with Seb in.
That's true.
Yeah. Because before that, we had been with Ruth.
Yeah, that's true.
This is where we kind of ended up before we had dinner. There've been a lot of befores, but we're looking forward
to the afters. If you've got good cocaine, please. I'm just kidding.
My gosh. It's funny because there's truth to it, but it's not true anymore.
Allegedly.
But
Jeff, final words? Is that
final words? Yeah, we're at the final words.
That guy's been staring at us. I think he's going to try to steal our microphone.
I fucking hope not. I'll bat him down with his heavy microphone. I think love each other and go out there and try and find something new in the place where you live. And if you are traveling, find something new and try and bottle it up so you can take it home with you. Get that juice, bro.
Yeah, find the juice. And even if you're at home and in the place that you know so well, and with the people you know so well, maybe there's an extraction point on that person that you haven't yet explored.
Yeah, and don't milk the same things over and over again, because they will dry up.
And they'll taste boring. You want to milk different aspects of your friends, family,
and experiences.
Absolutely. That's just a big advert for fucking juicing a person. But it's true. Like you know, you can.
People get the metaphor where
you don't need to make new friends or like do all sorts of crazy shit to try to get inspired. You just need to potentially find out something about your friend that you didn't know before,
and also have great conversations and learn. I feel like I'm going to be covered in mud when I get up too, but
I was going to wear these pants on the plane, but I think
taking
too much dirt home.
Yeah, that might be a problem for customs.
Okay. People, we've been Ekko and Sidetrack. Go download our stream. Go download our remix of Runaway by Reaper.
You go download it. What year is it, bro?
Beatports.
True. Beatport's a thing. But yeah, go check out our remix of Runaway by Reaper and tell us and listen to the podcast. Enjoy. Thanks for liking and subscribing.
Yeah, if you're a new listener, go back and listen to some old episodes.
Yeah.
Maybe you'll find someone with a guest you didn't know, or a conversation you thought you might not hear. Or
yeah, and they're some of the early ones. I think there's probably around like
112 great episodes.
I don't know about 112, but there's
102.
There's definitely probably early on, like probably the first 20 have some real emotional discussions, and I think that's quite if that's what you're aiming for or working towards. Jonathan's working his way into the pretzels. That means the podcast is over. We love you. I love you.
I love you too, bud. Sorry, I feel like an animal.
You're not. You're a great guy, and this has been a great trip with you.
Thanks, buddy. It's been really fun. Thank you for being here with me. I love you. I'll see you on the plane.
I'll see you on the plane.
Thanks for listening to this week's podcast. We are Ekko and Sidetrack on all social media. We've recently updated our YouTube. Go and give that a subscribe so you can keep up to date with all the latest video podcasts. And follow us on Spotify too so you can keep up to date with all our latest music releases. Big up!